So I decided to make this video because something that has started happening recently is, well, first of all, starting to film these videos. I started this YouTube channel a long time ago, and it started as an ASMR channel that I think I put 2 videos up on, and I spent way too long on the thumbnails, and they were really cute, but you know, Canva can be a rabbit hole, and it's like, okay. Now that I'm coming back around to this over a year later, I've noticed a trend on YouTube, and I'm not trying to follow trends. I'm the kind of person who really appreciates and prefers simplicity. Like when it comes to running a business, when it comes to doing this YouTube channel, life in general, I want it to be as simple as possible. And yeah, so I've noticed that people are not doing these fancy thumbnails. Maybe I'll go back to it, but I did decide to come back around to this YouTube channel, and I don't know if there's something in the stars or whatever the heck it is, but I've personally just felt in recent months like I went through a really intense summer. These readings are timeless, but the time that I'm making this right now is in the early autumn. And I went through this transformation, and I've started coming out of the cocoon. I talk about that, metaphor a lot in my videos because I like it. I know it's cliche, the butterfly or the caterpillar going to the cocoon and then coming out a butterfly analogy or metaphor. It's quite common, but I really resonate with it because a caterpillar doesn't just come out the other side of the cocoon with wings. It completely dissolves into goo and then reassembles itself into something completely different, which is the butterfly. But the essence, the material that it is created from, is still the same stuff. And so I actually really like this metaphor when you understand it on a deeper level, because the ego deaths, and they're not complete ego deaths, like you're still yourself, unless you're one of the lucky ones who becomes enlightened. Even then, I don't know if that's lucky. I don't know if I'd like to be enlightened. I feel like that would be kind of lonely. But I like it because it really does resonate in that when you're going through a dark night of the soul, it does feel like you're dissolving. It does feel like things are falling apart. It's oftentimes there's an isolation period, which is pretty necessary in order to go through that transformation without too much influence from other people. Oh no, I have a dent in my laptop. That's so sad. Oh well, it's just an object. And yeah, but I came out the other side of it being like, I don't care nearly as much anymore about what people think of me. And maybe it's just with age or just, feeling more creative. But I've noticed in some, I'm the type of person who does like to wear makeup. I do like to get dressed and look nice, even though I work from home. And I think having lived with chronic illness and disability for a long time, not my whole life, but for a long time, I'm very comfortable in my pajamas. Maybe it's from being a Taurus sun. I don't know. I like pretty spaces and I like being very comfortable. But one thing that I've been becoming comfortable with is showing up without makeup on. If I go out of the house and I've got stuff to do, yeah, I'll get ready. But when it comes to filming these videos, I think something that's been really beautiful is being okay with showing up in my pajamas and not doing my makeup and just channeling things when they come through. Because I have found, and it's unfortunate, but I'll get struck by the muse. I'll have a channeled message, and then I was so worried about what I was wearing or whether or not I was wearing makeup or, how did I look or whatever, that the message would dissipate, that it would disappear almost entirely, and then I would have missed the opportunity to give that gift to somebody, because I don't know who's going to watch this. Hopefully many people someday. That would be amazing. But this when you channel things, whether with cards or not, the messages are a gift from somewhere else, and they just filter through me. Sorry, I have an itchy nose. They say that when you're channeling, you get an itchy nose, but I just have a long-haired cat, so maybe that's it. I don't know. Anyways, so I don't know if it's being brave or it's just really not giving a darn. I usually swear like a sailor in my everyday life. I'm trying not to do that on this channel. Doing my best, people. But I don't really care so much anymore. And yeah, I still have my insecurities like everybody else, but it feels more important to deliver the messages. And I think that authenticity is a huge part of what is moving not just YouTube forward and creators, and I love the simplifying of not having to be super polished and show up in a certain way. But I think that it's facilitating a transformation in consciousness of the collective. Like the entire world is starting to wake up slowly but surely. And yeah, when you're watching this kind of content on YouTube or other platforms, the algorithm picks it up and then creates almost like a content silo where you're in this. I mean, I've even lost some nails since yesterday. I was doing laundry and washing dishes and making my bed, and they just start popping off. But, understanding that the algorithm will pick up on what it is that you like, what you're watching, and create like almost a bubble of information. So it's important that we look at other sources and broaden our horizons. It's the same with like if you're watching a certain type of political content on YouTube. Confirmation burp right there. But anyways, the point of this video is just to talk about very briefly being brave and not worrying quite so much about what people think. I am trained as a therapist, like traditionally. I have a master's of social work from a fancy schmancy university. And don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for my education. It was hard. It was really hard. But I'm grateful to have the education, the foundation, which allows all of my channeled work, all of my coaching, all of my tarot reading, whatever it is that I'm doing, to be trauma informed, because I think that's important. And we're taught to be a blank slate. We're taught not to share our experiences. We're taught to show up in a certain way. And I do think it's important that your work is about your client, not about yourself. But authenticity is important. I think it's what makes folks, you don't have to be relatable, but it can be handy for some people to feel like they can relate to you. It depends on what you're demonstrating. Even people who are living a lifestyle that feels quite far beyond what it is that maybe you're capable of in the moment. First of all, you are capable of it. You could do it. Second of all, it can be handy to be relatable, because then it's like creating a bridge of, okay, if I can do it, you can do it. And the higher I go and the more I accomplish, but still being relatable means that I can extend a hand. And I like those types of mentors, as opposed to, ones who seem so polished and completely unattainable in the lives that they live. But point is, showing up without makeup, to some people, they don't wear makeup at all, and that's fine. That's great. It's entirely up to you, whatever makes you feel good. But I think it's been quite liberating for myself to show up in my PJs. Also, my PJs are adorable. They're like, well, first of all, I love leopard print. I wear leopard. I don't know if you noticed, but about a third of my wardrobe is leopard print. The rest is a camo or pink velvet or whatever. But I like my tarot shirt. It's very cute. I really do need to do my nails. And then the leopard print sweater, because it's super cozy. But showing up without makeup has been really liberating. It's just getting over this hump, if you will, of, it doesn't even feel like confidence. It just feels like normalizing, being like, okay, well, this is what I look like. And yeah, sometimes I feel a little bit frumpy, but this is what I look like. I woke up like this. Clearly, I'm channeling Beyonce. I think your authenticity is just so important, and I love to see the transformation through YouTube and social media, that this is the way that people are showing up. And I'll still put makeup on and do my face and get dressed up or whatever, probably right after this video. But I just wanted to film this because by normalizing it and claiming that, it's like claiming yourself. It's just claiming your place in the world and not feeling like you have to bend over backwards to look a certain way in order to make a certain impression or please people. The industries that we spend so much of our money on, which could be going, like, I value freedom and adventure. I love to travel. So, changing where my money goes has been important, and I love to feel beautiful, don't get me wrong, but we spend so much money on beauty products and cosmetics and things like that. And if that's your jam, go for it. There's no judgment, but I personally have found it's kind of liberating not spending my money on that, not worrying about it quite so much, because it creates more opportunity with my resources to go and do super fun things that excite me a lot. So, if you're a beauty guru and that rocks your world and you love doing that, like, go for it. 100%, no judgment at all. But I'm finding it really liberating to show up online. I joke about it saying that I look like a gremlin, and I think I should probably change that language, because having gotten into manifestation like big time, and the science and art of manifestation, it's not as woo-woo as you think, though I do love the woo-woo. I'm reclaiming that. I hope it doesn't cause any offense. But I have found it quite liberating to just show up as I am, and just not caring quite so much about what other people think. And maybe someone will see this and go, my goodness, she looks like she's not wearing any makeup, I'm gonna unsubscribe. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. Like, when people leave your life, whether they're subscribers, followers, friendships, acquaintanceships, whatever, and they leave your life over something silly like that, or you showing up in your authenticity, it's like, okay, good riddance. Like, people exit your life for the silliest reasons, I just have to say. But whatever it is, if it's people or you're getting rid of stuff around the house, whatever, it creates space for more aligned things and people to come into your life, including subscribers and followers. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. The coffee hasn't kicked in, so I'm trying to remember what else it is that I wanted to say. Oh, the language piece. Also, just so you know, I had a really bad concussion, like a brain injury. So if I ramble and I forget what I'm talking about, it happens all the time, and get derailed. My memory is not the greatest, so please, I'm not gonna say forgive me, but be patient with me, I guess, with the rambles. But your language is really important, and some people say, words are spells. It's like you're casting a spell out into the world and the universe based upon what it is that you say. But really what it is the language that you use is programming your own mind and consciousness and unconscious over and over again every time you say something. So I joke around saying that in the morning I look like a gremlin, but I think gremlins are cute. Depends on the gremlin, actually. Let's be honest. But language is important too, so making sure that you're also saying things like, I adore you, I love myself, you're beautiful no matter how you show up. And trust me, it's taken years to get to a point where that's actually true, and it's been very liberating this year to get to a higher level of commitment to self and self-love. I have been a person that has struggled with self-love my entire life, and I really want to invite you to, if you have struggled with it or you currently struggle with it, don't give up on it, because when you get to a point of self-acceptance, I think that's the first step, which is self-acceptance. If you keep rejecting yourself and the things that you do or where you've come from and what you've done, it's very hard to get to self-love. Any self-development, transformation, self-love work that you're doing on yourself, shadow work as well, if that's a thing that you do, which can be a very intense process. It's so hard to build on top of a foundation of self-rejection. It's like trying to go one way but walking the other way at the same time. Like, it's hard to turn around like the vehicle that is you. If you've been driving the other direction quite quickly for a long time, it's hard to do a U-turn, but you can. So building on a foundation of self-acceptance and self-love is very handy when you're then doing self-development work, because if you're rejecting yourself, nothing really sticks. So don't give up on self-love, and maybe your path to self-love is not showing up with half your nails popped off and, no makeup on your face. Sorry, now I have cat hair on my eyelashes. But I encourage you to not give up on it, because it's not like you're starting over every single year. I have a zillion journals where at the beginning of them, and I'm talking for decades, have written, this is the year I learned to love myself. And then it can feel like you're just starting over and over and over again. It's like, when will I ever get there? But it's not like all of your efforts were for nothing. They compound. We forget about them in low moments, and this is something called emotion associated memory. If I can just put on my scientist hat for a second. Emotion associated memory is like your brain remembers some things when you have a certain type of emotion and it forgets other things. And it's same with a different type of emotion. So when you're feeling really good, you're going to remember the good times. If you're feeling really crummy, you're going to remember the bad times. And it's hard to remember the opposite when you're feeling a certain emotion. This is normal. And it can be hard to feel like you're ever going to get to a place of self-love and feeling good when you're feeling self-rejection and feeling bad. But you've been working on this forever, and so you haven't scrapped all of the work that you've done. I'm going to talk about this probably in a zillion videos, but I think it's super important. Bamboo puts roots down for a long time before you ever see anything growing above the surface. And then it comes up finally one year and it just shoots up so fast. And you're like, wow, what a quantum leap that was. It's gigantic. I love this metaphor because it's like you are putting down roots. You've been doing the work, and it's work that's in the dirt. It's underground. No one sees it except for you. And you're seeing how challenging and it takes forever, all of that. And then people on the outside usually are only privy to or only have an understanding of or perception of when you do start to sprout. Oh, my channel, if I burp or I yawn or I wiggle my nose, you're just channeling stuff, moving the energy. But your self-love is compounding. So as you work towards rejecting yourself less, rejecting parts of yourself less and less, that is like you've done the U-turn. You are moving towards self-love, but you just can't see it yet. It's like around the corner of the mountain, and you just have to have trust and faith and keep walking the path or driving the road, whatever it is. So don't give up on it. Self-love is so incredibly rewarding, and it picks up momentum once you start to access it. You realize like, oh my God, this is what this feels like. And then you just need to practice it more. Self-compassion is something that's handy when you're having a wobble moment or you feel down on yourself and you start questioning like, oh, but I had self-love yesterday, or I felt so amazing last week. I thought I loved myself. You do love yourself. If you've accessed it anytime, at any point in your life, it means that you do. But feelings of self-rejection might just feel more normal because you've done that more or you've been more aware of that. So it's just about practice. It really, really is. And you might be like, well, how do you practice self-love? Self-compassion, baby, that's the bridge. Anytime you're feeling down or you feel that self-rejection sneaking in, it's taking a moment, catching it, pausing. That's mindfulness, right? Looking at what's happening and then giving it so much love and compassion and be like, I see myself slipping into old patterns. Those old patterns are always protective mechanisms to keep you safe and out of harm. So we shut ourselves down. The really weird part is that when your nervous system, your unconscious, these very primal parts of us that are trying to keep us alive and safe and out of pain are actually doing things to keep us small, and then we get frustrated and feel the emotional pain. That is self-love. That frustration comes from the self-loving part of you that knows that it wants better and that it can do better. And then because your nervous system and your unconscious is like blocking you, or it feels like it's blocking you and shutting you down because it's trying to keep you safe, keeps you small is safe. That frustration is coming from the self-loving part of you that knows that you want better, that you can do better, that you've had better and you can have better. So I really want to emphasize that. It's an interesting reframe when you're rejecting yourself, or it feels like you're rejecting yourself out of frustration from feeling blocked. People don't realize that that is coming from the part of you that loves you fiercely. And it feels frustration because it wants you to move forward, and it's recognizing that you're feeling stuck. And that's the invitation for self-compassion. So I know this started as a bit of a ramble about makeup, and I think the point of it is, I'm not confident all the time, but something that has been helpful is showing up like this, practicing it, and practicing self-acceptance. Man, you feel invincible. And I'm not invincible. Well, maybe I am. I don't know. But like just keep showing up, doing the things that lean into that edge, that push you to flex the muscle of being more resilient and giving yourself compassion and loving yourself in moments when maybe it's not as easy. I don't know. Sometimes I watch back on these videos and go, oh man, I look so much better in the other one because I put on makeup and I got dressed. But then I watched the ones where, I couldn't sleep, and I filmed like 4 of them the other night. I had already gone to bed. I'm in my PJs, and I, look as I look. And but if I didn't get up every time, I keep getting struck by the muse, and I have these messages that are coming through, and if I didn't film them in that moment, cat hair. If I put on my makeup every time just in order to do that and then take it off again to go to bed and then get up again and put it on, like, how exhausting would that be? Who cares? Who cares? The message is more important. The message is so much more important, and I need to drive that home for you, for me, for everybody who comes across this. Whoever psychically picks up on this message and isn't even watching the video, we don't really know how that works, but the message is so much more important than the way that you look when you're delivering it. And then you set an example for others to just show up authentically. Don't miss the opportunity to share yourself and share your inspiration, especially maybe you read tarot or you channel or you just love to teach about stuff and you get inspired, but then you hold yourself back because you're like, it's not the right time, or I don't look the right way, or whatever. I get it. I really do. And I am just starting to believe that it's not about me. It's about the message. It's about the people who need to receive it, and for some reason need to receive it from me. I don't know why. Plus, confidence is really sexy. Like, confidence and showing up authentically and just like really caring less about what other people think of you is just, oh man, it's very empowering. It feels really good, and it really attracts more opportunities. It attracts more amazing people into your life. There's something like being magnetic. So when people say, I don't chase, I attract, you can attract through magnetism, through your energy. It doesn't really matter what you look like. Someone can walk into a room and be the most beautiful person physically, but they're not embodying their self-love and their natural radiance. And then someone who maybe didn't put in any effort and really doesn't care, but they walk into the room with so much confidence, like natural confidence. They're not putting it on. They're just like, eh. And they radiate authenticity, and they're just being themselves like that. You feel that person. They're magnetic. You're like, oh my gosh, I would like, what's that person all about? Interesting. It has nothing to do with what they look like. And I think that's really cool. So energy is very important. Authenticity is important. And I hope this message is helpful. I can't remember what the point of this was. Again, I hit my head really hard, so I forget what I'm talking about all the time. But I hope this ramble is helpful. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.